What's doing, everybody? Welcome to First Class Fatherhood. I'm Alec, and before I hit you with today's interview, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the link in the description so you can listen to all of the interviews I've done with so many tremendous dads, including Dana White, Deion Sanders, Tony Hawk, and so many others. Now let's get going with today's interview. Joining me now, First Class Father, Rob Kenney. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
All right, let's kick it off like this here. How many kids do you have and how old are they?
I have two adult kids. My daughter's 28, and my son's 25.
Wow, very cool. What type of sports or activities were they into growing up?
I played football myself, and so I tried to steer my son away from football. And he played a lot of baseball. And he ended up he found football and loved it, and ended up breaking his arm. So that was part of the reason I steered him away from football. But anyway, and then my daughter played volleyball.
Okay, very cool. Rob, if you could please just take a minute here to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
Yeah, so started a YouTube channel called Dad. I started it in April because of the quarantine. I had a little extra time on my hands. It's something I thought of a couple of years ago, and I had a little extra time, so I just my daughter had been wanting me to do it for quite a while, and and then it went viral in May, and since that time it just continues to grow. I'm at 2.9 million subscribers now.
Yeah, it's incredible what you've done with it. And one of the things, Rob, I talk about on my show a lot here is the Fatherless Crisis. I talk about it all the time. We have way too many kids that are growing up without a father or a father figure in their life, and it's having a devastating result on our society here. Are you finding that a lot of the people who are coming to your channel, subscribing, commenting, watching, are they coming from fatherless households? Is that you getting kids that are watching you from that background?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the flip side of the fact that my channel has gone crazy is that it's a little bit sad, because there's a lot of fatherlessness in our society, and people, and then bad relationships with their fathers, and then I also have a lot of people that just miss their fathers that have passed and that sort of thing. But yeah, no, it's heartbreaking. And my dad, when I was 14, my dad chose to not have kids anymore. I didn't know that was a choice, but that was a decision he made. We reconciled in the end, so I don't live there. I've forgiven him, and before he passed, I had forgiven him. And but anyway, it's a reality that if you don't have a father, you struggle. There's a lot of little things that you just how do you know how to do stuff.
Yeah, and I do have quite a lot of guests that come on the show here that grew up without a father themselves. And some of these guys, I bring on a lot of Navy SEALs, a lot of military guys, and they say that they see a lot of that in the military, guys that come in there and they find that father figure in the military. Other guys find it through sports and through coaches, and they find that male role model. And unfortunately, a lot of them find it in the street. And that's how we see all these gang activities and all that, because that becomes that father figure. So that part of it, it is very sad. And what was Rob? What was the first video that you put out there? And what was the first one that kind of actually made the skyrocketed the YouTube channel?
Yeah, so the first one I did was how to tie a tie, because I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't. I'm still, if you watch my videos, I'm still using my camera to film. But it was, wasn't very much of a commitment to put out the how to tie a tie, and it was like 2 minutes. And I had people saying, "Hey, I'm watching you tie a tie, and I'm crying." They're sobbing just the, I have tried to promote kindness. I want people to feel genuinely loved when they come to my channel, learn how to do stuff, and try to empower people. That's what it's all been based on. A couple of videos that kind of really skyrocketed was I said, "I'm proud of you," and people hadn't, a lot of people have never heard that, and that just again it saddens me, because we all need to hear that throughout our lives. I told my kids I'm proud of them and I love them, and I still do to this day.
Yeah, one thing that's really true, I think, with a lot of dads today, as opposed to yesteryears, I don't remember my father really ever telling me, not that he didn't love me, but I don't remember them telling me that they loved me all the time, my parents, where I feel like I've definitely told my kids, I have 4 myself, I've told them I love them way more times than my father ever said that to me. Not that I love them any more than he did, but it's just something that it wasn't a part of the culture. It wasn't a part of the way it was done back then. So I think hearing that is important, especially from some type of male role model. And I love the videos that you do about when it comes. I'm a mechanic, a railroad mechanic that I've been doing that for 20 years. I'm a mechanic by trade, and I love the videos that you put like that. And I do some free classes at the local library here to show kids, how to change a flat tire and stuff like you do on the videos. And I think just basic stuff like that should be required to get your driver's license. We have so many kids out there, they don't even know, like you put out there videos about checking the oil, changing the tire. What is the feedback? Are those, are you getting a lot of hits on videos like that? What's the feedback been on those videos?
Absolutely. I also, I did, so I wanted my channel to kind of be a one-stop shop, but I'm not, I'm a master of none. I'm a jack of all trades, right? I know a little bit about a lot of things. And so I want to be careful to not because people are saying, hey, can you show me how to change my brakes? I'm like, I've done it, I know how to do it, but I don't know that I'm the guy to show you how to change your brakes. So what I'm hoping to do with my channel moving forward is start bringing on other dads that have a heart for kids and that are better at certain things than I am, and have them show. So so the mechanical ones, I mean, I did just how to check your oil, because I don't change my oil anymore. I used to when I was younger, and really, I mean, in my area, I can get an oil change for $30. And so what's my time worth? So, by the time I bang my knuckles and I get under, and I'm fighting with the oil filter, and it's like, and you got to take the oil and bring it somewhere. And so anyway, but I ended up doing how to change your oil because people asked it. So
Yeah, well, listen, I love that concept, and I like the idea of bringing on other dads that are have specialties in certain areas. I think that's a brilliant idea. And also, too, one of the things, like when I was a kid, I was like the kind of go-to guy to hook up the VCR and to do all these things. Like I was kind of like technical savvy back then. Now I'm asking my kids, hey, how do I beam this to the TV? I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, Dad, you don't know nothing. So it could be kind of interesting to have like the kids showing the dads how to do certain things when it comes to posting on Twitter or starting up a LinkedIn account. How did you manage to put this together? Who helped you figure this out? Did your kids get involved with showing you how to create a YouTube channel, how to post it, or did you find that on YouTube?
So YouTube, I was able to figure out myself, and I've gone to YouTube for myself for resource. It's a great resource, but a lot of times you got bells and whistles going off, and you got 20 minutes worth of a video, and I just needed a 30-second nugget out of that video. So I was trying to make my videos as tight as possible. That was my goal, to be a one-stop shop where you can learn how to tie a tie, but also some car stuff, and maybe mowing a lawn. We'll get to that eventually. But in all reality, my daughter has helped me a ton with Instagram, Facebook. She runs all that for me. I wasn't even on Facebook. I had created a Facebook account probably 10 years ago, and it got hacked. And I said, I'm done. I cut it off. I wasn't on Facebook. And then I recently started a Facebook account just so I could see what she's doing on our account on Facebook. So on the Dad How Do I.
Yeah, good stuff. And do you ever get into, or do you plan on getting into like manners and values, like how to behave at the dinner table, how to behave on a first date, more stuff, personal stuff like that? Have you covered that, or are you planning to?
I haven't yet, but I have done some dad chats. I'm calling them dad chats on attitude. I did one on attitude and one on integrity. So I think, it's wide open. I think I got all kinds of different things. I'm not limited to certain things, and I've even read some children's books. I think, and I want, people wanted me to teach them how to fish and how to go camping, and there's so much, there's so much content out there. I think it'll take me several years to run out of ideas.
Yeah, I love that. And let me rein it back into you as a dad here for a second. What type of disciplinarian were you as a father with your kids growing up, and is that different than the discipline style that you grew up with?
Yeah, I'm one of 8 kids, and I was number 7. And so my parents started out really well, and they taught great values to the older siblings. And then when things kind of fell apart, the older siblings kind of stepped up and taught us, kind of helped guide us. So I don't know, I wouldn't say we were, it was super strict in our house, but we understood, we were from a Catholic family. And so we understood the difference between right and wrong, and tried to stay in line that way. But for me, I'm a Christian myself, and I try to we've raised our kids in the church, and I think that has helped keep them in line. One of the things I've always said too, which I think is a big deal with with my kids, we kept trying with my wife and I, we tried to give them responsibility, and as they dealt with the responsibility, if they couldn't handle it, we'd take it back. And I tell them that, this is a privilege. This isn't a right. You get a cell phone. It's not a right. I'm allowing you to have it because for convenience sake, but if you abuse it, we're taking it back, so little things like that along the way, I think are real important. You just kind of give them a little more slack each time, see if they can handle it. Can't handle it, pull it back.
Yeah, well said. And yeah, I'm a faith-based person myself, Rob, as well. And I think when you combine the fact that, like we say, with the fatherless crisis going on and the fact that God has been removed from so much of our society, those two things parlayed has really, really set this country on fire here. So I think if we just tighten those two things up, we'd see drastic improvements in every corner of our country.
I agree.
And you know what? Since you've been there and done that, I mean, one of the things that, my oldest is 14. He's just hitting high school now. He's a freshman. My youngest is my only girl. I'm getting ready to hit all these different peaks of the kids learning to drive, introduction to drugs, and, of course, dating. So I worry about that more for some reason, I guess, as a dad when my daughter hits there. Thank God she's the last one to go through it. You've been there and done it. How did you kind of handle it, or what kind of advice did you give to your kids when they started to hit that dating scene?
Yeah, that's a question for the ages. I don't think there's any magic answer. I think we always tried to stay close with our kids, so that we didn't get shocked if they told us anything. So wanted to help them understand that we're their advocate. We're there for you. We got to get through this. We don't let stuff hang. If you're mad at me, let's hash it out and get on with it, right? Having you mad at me, let's not, let's get on with our lives. We need to hash this out and figure it out. And one thing I've always said too in my interviews is I think it's important to ask your kids for forgiveness. I think when they're little and you can control the narrative, they think you don't got any flaws. But as they get into the teen years, they they start realizing you have flaws too. And so if you're not willing to admit those, I think they see hypocrisy there, and I think rebellion starts if you're acting like you've got it all together and you're, nailing them for the stuff that they're doing. I think it's anyway. That was important for us, was to be transparent.
Yeah, and good point. And I think going back to what we were saying there before, how I was saying like my parents weren't so quick to say I love you. I think one of the things that I'm definitely doing that, like I could never imagine my father apologizing to me for anything, and I find myself doing that with my kids, especially when I punish the wrong kid for the wrong thing, and then I find out about it. I'm pretty transparent in that sense. That I say, hey, I got that one wrong, and I do apologize. And I think that's something that dads do differently today than they did many years ago. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. Along those lines too, I think as a man of faith, at night through prayer, you're kind of making yourself vulnerable by crying out to God and saying, and it's a roundabout way to kind of admit to them that you don't have it all together, and I'm just doing my best. God has put me in this position to do my best, and I'm going to fail. And, so you can kind of be transparent that way. I think that was helpful as well.
Yeah, and we're a family that eats dinner together every night. We pray before we eat every night. I think most of the problems that we're having will be solved at the dinner table and not on social media here. So I think definitely getting families back to the dinner table. And I think one of the blessings and the silver linings of the whole coronavirus lockdown is it has brought a lot of families closer together, and you had an opportunity to spend more time, not travel as much for work, or so be it. So I think that was one of the things, and obviously created a lot of opportunities like you out here. That created this. It was born out of the coronavirus lockdown. So I think there has been some wonderful things as a side effect to it.
Yeah, I think people are longing for that connection. I agree with you at the dinner table. That was something we always did. We ate dinner together. It wasn't this thing where we all just kind of, and we're lax, a little more lax now because it's just my wife and I. The kids are out. But that was very important to sit around and then hear how everybody's doing and give everybody a chance to speak and talk about their day and that sort of thing. I think that's really important. And I think people are longing for some wholesomeness. There's so much garbage that's out there. That's what I get from my channel. People are coming in and just saying, how, love the purity, love the wholesomeness, and there's not a whole lot of fanfare going on. I'm just coming, I want you to come in, learn how to do something and get out, and feel loved while you're there, tell the dad joke and hopefully it can inspire you to do great things.
Yeah, it is awesome to see that you're getting the traction that you are, because unfortunately it seems like unless you're dunking on somebody on social media, you don't get any play. Everyone's looking for that clickbait. They don't care about the story. They just want the click, and it really, you lose the value of what it is. And that's why it's awesome to see guys like you out there putting out positive content, quick hitters, and getting the great feedback that you're getting. So I love what you're doing. And now, what kind of plans or goals do you have for the future of this? Are you thinking long term with this? You got any kind of book ideas in the making? Well, what's going to be next for you here, Rob?
Yeah, I got some amazing opportunities, and I've tried again. I've had so many opportunities for sponsorships from all kinds of different things, and I've tried to filter those, and it's about probably 5% of the sponsorship. So I've done one with Lowe's. I did one with Simply Safe. I did one with Staybill. The ones that make sense, stuff that I believe in, or my brother actually loved Staybill, so it was a natural thing to go ahead and work with them. So yeah, I do have opportunities. So I can't really say a whole lot just yet, but I think probably in the new year I'll be able to announce some pretty cool stuff that has come my way.
Yeah, wow, phenomenal. Good for you. Last thing I'm going to hit you with here, Rob. I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of dad, or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
Yeah, couple things, and this is, and I didn't do this myself. I was learning along the way, and now looking back, there's things that I might have done different. I've mentioned, maybe come up with a mission statement, because when you hold your baby for the first time, I'm sure you can relate to this. When I held my daughter, because she was the first one, and just I'm promising her the world. I'm like, I want to do this for you, and I want to do that for you, and you get busy with life, and you have a bad day at work and all this and all that, and next thing you know, you're kind of off track. And I think it might be a good idea to create a mission statement. We do that for business, right? And then you can modify it as you go along, but try to come up with some core values that you want to make sure you stick with in case you get off track. No, this is what I promised. I want to stick with this, right? And pray about it and think about it before you actually create it. But I think it's a good place to start. I think another thing too is thinking long term. There's an author, Justin Batt. He wrote a book called Daddy Saturday, and one of the lines he said in there is, he said, the days are long, but the years are short. And I'm testimony to that, man. I'm 56 now. My kids are out of the house. It was a window that was, here and gone. And so I think if you think long term, hang in there. It'll you want to do the right thing and hang in there. Don't give up.
Very well said. I love the advice. I love your philosophy on fatherhood. It's been an honor. You're a first-class father all the way. And Rob Kennedy, thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Alec.